I'd make sure that Google can find me first. Let's be honest. Google and SEO, SEM is important. Yelp, Facebook, and then LinkedIn in that case. And that's what you do with social digital marketing. Who is your audience? Let's communicate with them in a way that makes good sense. And small business owners are so important. Their customers are going to pull them out. Let's figure out where you need to be first and jump in there.
The following is brought to you by Thryv, the end-to-end client experience platform that helps you get the job, manage the job, and get credit.
Welcome to Winning on Main Street. I'm Gordon Henry. The American economy is driven by small business, local business people who want to work for themselves and build something successful. And today we're fortunate to be speaking with Mark Galvin, CEO of ePresence, an Atlanta area firm that helps individuals and companies with their e-presence. Mark will be speaking at our upcoming Thryv Connect virtual conference on November 10th and 11th, and you can sign up to attend at thryv.com/connect. And we'll be hearing from Mark, and he's going to tell us all about ePresence and what that means for small businesses. Welcome, Mark.
Hey, it's going to be here. Thank you, Gordon.
Really excited to have you today. So, Mark, let's start out with the basics. What is ePresence? What does that mean?
Well, it really does describe exactly who we are. We are an online digital marketing firm that focuses on social media. And then when you get in that social media space, we are a full service social media agency. So there's a lot of boxes that you can check on social. The thing that we do that's a little more unique than everybody else. So check all the boxes that you already know of. We do that, but we also help individuals get online and stay online. Like, Gordon, you are a busy guy, right? You've got this show you're doing, you've got divisions to run. There's a lot of things happening in your life. How do you activate your personal social media? Well, we do that as well. So we've got that whole gamut of stuff that we do, helping everybody with their e-presence.
So you're helping the online presence of individuals as well as companies, or mostly focused on individuals?
We do it, but we do all of it. So we just had a chiropractic firm here in Atlanta hire us to help get them online because, well, they want to be chiropractors. There's a college in Atlanta that produces a lot of chiropractors. So we have a bunch in the Atlanta area. They need to stand out, and they understand social is so important for what they do. But they need to be chiropractors, not digital marketing managers. So we will help them get their individual profiles secondarily up to speed, but we're going to focus on Facebook for them and Instagram. Those are the two places that they can really reach their audience. So we'll do that. And in this case, the personal profiles will be secondarily, they support the overall organization. However, that's not always the case. Sometimes we have executives that are the COO of an organization, and secretly don't tell anybody I said this, but all COOs want to be CEO. So how do they get there? They got to activate their online social presence, especially on LinkedIn. So they come to us, we help them, we will curate content or create content so that they look awesome. So that when they go in front of the board, right? So to get a CEO's job, you got to interview with a board. How do you do that? If you haven't, well, let me rephrase that. How can you step in front of a board and already have your marketing in place? And you do that through LinkedIn because the entire board has pulled up that COO through LinkedIn. So we can take a COO that maybe is a little quieter, that may not immediately command attention, create a LinkedIn profile that makes them look really robust and show that they're a great leader, that they have a lot of support. So when they walk into that board interview, they are they already have a reputation. So we do both of that, but check the box off. Where do you need to be on social media? We solve that, but we also have that individual piece. That's a great component. Most digital marketing firms run from that because it's a little complex. It's a little confusing how you can manage personal profiles and personal identities. We love that. In fact, that's where we started. So that's the truth. We started there and phased into full digital marketing.
Right. So I want to sort of unpack this a little bit in terms of your client base, because as Thryv, our company's clients tend to be local small businesses. home services businesses, plumbers, roofers, electricians, people who cut your lawn or trim your trees. Also professionals such as doctors, dentists, lawyers, chiropractors, and also things like auto body or local salons of various sorts, fitness salons. So it's a wide range. It sounds like where you went with the COO comment was looking at corporate executives and how corporate executives need to have. So let's start there. You work with corporate executives who, in addition to having sort of a corporate persona, also have a personal persona in LinkedIn
Right.
and maybe Facebook. So that's one type of customer you work with. Is that right?
That's right. Absolutely. The smaller organization, the individual company, the individual business owner also has the same problem.
Mm.
But their target, and this is the thing, we all do this in marketing. What's your mission? Who's your audience? So we'll do that. We'll sit down with an individual and figure out what is your mission and who is your audience. So if I am an independent business owner, typically an entrepreneur, as I am, who is my audience? Or typically it's going to be clients and I should say, potential new employees. Every employee, everybody that is interviewing now is going to look at the organization first online. Who's running it? What is their philosophies? And so you've got to make sure you're sharing that so you attract the very best talent. Now, we're in a whole new world today in the middle of, extremely high unemployment rates. There are a lot of people that are going to come to our doors as we open up, as we start to create openings. I have an editor's position open right now, and I'm getting pummeled with new people that are interested in that role. I still need to tease out the most important candidates in that, the best candidates. I need to make sure that they stay attracted to my org, and I share that through my personal profile. So that's an example of determining who is your audience. Let's communicate with them in a way that makes good sense. And small business owners are so important. Their customers are going to pull them up. A dentist. Now, I think this is fascinating. Back in 2008, there were 35 million people on LinkedIn. Not bad, right? 35 million. Here we are in 2020. There's 706 million and counting people on LinkedIn. So what does that mean? It's the largest business database in the world. And that's what it is. It's a business database. Great. So Gordon, if I need what you do, I'm going to go on LinkedIn and I may search for those talents. If you don't show up as an option, then I'm not going to be interested in your talents. Flip that over. Maybe I do know who you are. I go to LinkedIn, I pull you up. Is your LinkedIn profile telling me what I need to know about you that your audience, will want to do business with you? You got to answer those questions. We help tease that out because, hey, a business owner is interested in providing the product that they are interested in providing. That is why they do what they do, right? Let them focus on that and get someone else to focus on that digital marketing piece, because I'm going to tell you what, it's confusing. I'm constantly trying to figure things out myself. We're always poking at stuff, trying to make sure things work better. We understand that because we're in that laboratory.
So, an important question I want to ask you, when I'm thinking about the local small businesses, many of whom are Thryv clients, is LinkedIn a good venue to promote those kinds of businesses? Let's say I'm a roofer. Okay, I do roofing in my local community. Are people going to be looking for me, either for my company or for me individually, on LinkedIn?
No. In the get-go, no. So a roofer, and this is what's so important, and a roofer knows this, they're probably going to be found first, if it's social focused, on Facebook would be my guess.
Okay.
And that actually, I would consider that secondary. They're going to be found on Yelp before they're going to be found on Facebook. So the stages that I would encourage them to look at is, let's get you a really robust profile on Yelp, then phase into Facebook. But you need LinkedIn as part of your package. And the reason is, as I tier down, I may end up going to LinkedIn to see if this is somebody I want to work with. Maybe I've heard something about your organization. I want to know more about you, the owner, because I've been burned. So that's a piece that you should use as a complementary effort. But I'd start off with Yelp. Actually, I'd take one step higher. I'd make sure that Google can find me first. Let's be honest. Google and SEO, SEM is important. Yelp, Facebook, and then LinkedIn in that case. And that's what you do with social digital marketing. Let's figure out where you need to be first and jump in there.
Right. And I assume you're also going to tell me, as a roofer in this community, I should have a great website, maybe with some videos, some project photos, and I should have some kind of advertising that's driving people to my website, right?
Yes, all of that. Add one more thing to it. If you're advertising, let's say on Google, make sure you have landing pages that will ensure when someone lands on your website that they're landing where they intend to buy. And that is such an easy thing to overlook. I meet a lot of people who say, I'm spending $1,000 a month on Google and I'm getting nothing for it.
Mm.
And I love the analogy of, we've all been through this. We're walking down some nice city street and somebody's standing outside of a restaurant handing out samples, or maybe it's a little market and they're handing out chocolate samples. Well, Gordon, do you eat chocolate?
Yeah.
So you walk by, you get a piece of chocolate, you're like, dang, this is good. And they say, well, go in and grab some. And you walk in the market, you can't find the chocolate.
Right.
You're going to leave.
Right.
We have to make sure that if you click, as if you're the chocolate guy, you like the chocolate, you click on it and you land on a website and you don't know where to buy it, you're going to split. So those landing pages are so important. So you get those landing pages so that if I click it, I end up in the chocolate section and with a big sign that says, here's that chocolate you just tried outside. All that's important. And then we will use social media also to drive into those landing pages. And you can do all that on Thryv. I will tell you, I love my Thryv website because I'm constantly duplicating pages. I create my template, I go in, I could duplicate that page and I make a new page and I use that page as my new landing page. That is so important. So somebody knows where to buy and how to buy.
So everything you just described sounds pretty complicated. If I'm a roofer, I'm probably going to be using my time better if I'm building roofs than I am building landing pages and trying to figure out SEO and how should I, promote myself on Yelp. So do you suggest to local businesses that they use an agency like a Thryv or maybe some local agency? How do you advise people?
I'm going to find out how much money they have first. What's your budget? And if they're in the space where they don't have a ton of money, I am going to point them to a place that can provide them with a good presence to start off with, so they can build to the part where maybe they can afford a more robust website. What I encourage most people to do is, if you are brand new and you don't have a big budget for digital, get a one-page website. Mm-hmm. Just and we've seen them, right? You click it and the page downs, you're looking at the menu, and that's a great place to start.
Yeah.
So get that in place and then work yourself into a budget where you can afford something like Thryv. Now, here's what I like about what you guys offer is you give me a lot of the back end stuff that I can't typically afford for your price point. Mm-hmm. I was on one of the other do-it-yourself website services before. Sure. And what I like about what you guys offer, number one thing is I can hit the help button and say, I need help here, and you guys help me. And that is such a big thing. And I like what I'm paying per month because I get all those back-end services. And honestly, I'll never forget when the local rep contacted me for you guys, and he told me what the charge was. I said, all right, what's the catch? There's got to be something that I'm missing here. All the services that come in, all of the point of sale pieces, all that support is hugely valuable. So I do point people to you guys as, all right, when you're ready to step into you want somebody else to manage your site for you, this is a good place to go. If I need a $30,000, $40,000 website that has custom analytics and a customer portal and all this custom stuff, then at that point, you probably need to go to a service that's a full digital marketing firm. In fact, I office with a digital marketing firm that offers that type of level service. Sure. So you guys provide that niche for those businesses that, that roofer, good example, that doesn't want to do it themselves, that would like to pick up the phone on the way to a roofing job and say, hey, I don't know what just happened, but I'm clicking on that menu option and nothing's working. Right. You guys can solve that. And that's a big deal because you can't get that typically for the type of money that it costs for your service.
Right. So back to e-presence, which is your meat and potatoes. It sounds like e-presence is really, or I really should say the LinkedIn presence that you seem to talk about a lot, is really an important item for professionals who want to have either themselves stand out within a company environment, your COO example, or people
Right.
who are marketing themselves online, not necessarily locally, but maybe nationally. Like I'm thinking about people who do coaching and training, sales
Oh my
coaching,
gosh. Yeah.
business development coaching, training, anybody who sort of works remotely like that, not necessarily locally only, they need to be found. And that seems to be more your LinkedIn type of yourself, right? You're
Right.
marketing
Right.
yourself through LinkedIn.
So LinkedIn is unbelievable when it comes to the reach, and you can reach a lot of people organically. And the organic post is just a simple breakdown. If I post something on Facebook, for example, and I boost that, that's no longer organic. It's going to reach people that I'm not connected to.
Right.
LinkedIn's organic reach is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
It is a great place to start if you are focused on a personal brand. If it
Mm.
is, it's really about you as a brand, then it is a great place to build an audience. It is still important to remember that there's so many people that are going to go onto LinkedIn that will pull you up, even if it's just not about you.
Right.
There are a lot of people that are backing into contacts at a company by clicking on a company page and then seeing who works there and who's the person that I need to do business with. Networking groups, a great thing is, and there's a lot of business people that have websites with you guys that are involved in local networking groups. If I can't find those folks on LinkedIn that I'm going to network with, I may not do business with them, and I may have a need right now. So it is important that if you're providing that B2B, and I will tell you, I think it's really the B2B space. If you're in a
Mm.
B2B environment, you must have a presence on LinkedIn
Right.
because those folks are going to search for you there. That is extremely important. B2C, maybe,
Right.
right?
Right.
That it depends. There's a lot of things, and you got to tease that out before you determine whether you'll spend your energy there or not.
Yeah. Okay. That's a great distinction. So you've done a lot on LinkedIn in terms of profile building. What are the mistakes people make in building their online or LinkedIn profiles? And what are some of the to-do items that you recommend that you help people with?
Well, the first mistake people make with LinkedIn is they don't realize what fields they should spend the most time on.
Mm.
Simple example is people get down into the experience section and they naturally fall into the mode of, oh, I'm building a resume. I would recommend don't look at your experience section as a resume unless you're looking for a job. If you're looking for a job, absolutely, it needs to be built like a resume. But don't, if you're in that space looking for a job, don't do this. Don't go into that space and start telling me what you did at your job, because I probably already know. Tell me how you set yourself apart in that job. If you're a business owner and your target audience are let's go B2B. Let's use that as an example. I'll give you a specific example. I've got a client, he owns an audiovisual company. His target audience are meeting planners, people that put on large events. He's the type of AV group that probably charges $200,000 a program. Give you an idea. So he's really high end. When a meeting planner lands on his page, we're all self-centered, right? I'm self-centered. You are. We really do think about ourselves first. So when I land on your profile, Gordon, I want to know, what can you do for me? And we all need to think about that. On your LinkedIn profile, first and foremost, make sure you answer the questions that your target audience wants answered, not the questions that you think they want answered. You need to answer the questions that they're truly answering or asking for. So pick up the key areas on your LinkedIn profile that you can do that. Number one is your headline, which shows up right below your name. LinkedIn, don't tell LinkedIn I said this. LinkedIn's going to tell you to put your title and company name there. Well, that's a waste of space. What I would put in there are the key things that will talk to your specific audience. For me, I want people to know that I'm a social media management firm, that I'm a LinkedIn expert, that I do LinkedIn webinars, that I have LinkedIn consulting services, and that I got a podcast. So I focus all of that on my headline underneath my name. And the reason is that headline is the most important part for search. Super valuable for search. So Gordon, as we go in and you go to LinkedIn and search, and if you type in, gosh, I hope this works. If you type in podcast or social media podcast, I want to show up in search. That's my goal. If I typed in my title and my company name, that's not going to appear in your search results. So that's so important. Then you build down. There are key parts of your LinkedIn profile you need to stay focused on. And the next one is the about section. The about section is, used to be called the summary. You're in websites. What do you do when you land on a website and you're trying to learn about a company? You click the about tab to find out about that company. Well, LinkedIn now has this section. And if you think about it, why would they call it about? It's because they want you to see your LinkedIn profile as your personal website. And it's a huge thing. It is your personal website. If I land on my about section or I land on your about section, I want to know why I should read it. So you got to speak to me. Use your first 3 lines to speak to your target audience. Those are those 2 key things. I urge all of you out there, do those 2 things. Build in the keywords in your headline that'll help people find you. And then go to your about section, speak to your audience, identify what your audience's pain point is, and then say why you're the person to solve that pain point. You'll see your profile views go up 400% easily.
Wow, that's incredible. We're speaking with Mark Galvin, who leads ePresence. We're going to be back in just a minute, and we're going to be talking more about the mistakes that you can avoid on LinkedIn and other social media. We'll be right back.
Looking for that extra spark of inspiration to take your business to the next level? Thryv, the leading software for small business, presents Connect 20. The year's #1 interactive conference for entrepreneurs like yourself will feature some of today's most successful business leaders, industry pioneers, and technology gurus. Hear from a lineup of inspirational speakers including Scott Galloway, the star of Vice TV's No Mercy, No Malice, and best-selling author of The 4 and the Algebra of Happiness. Well-renowned CEOs, successful Shark Tank contestants, and savvy business experts will also be offering must-have advice. You'll have the opportunity to participate in scheduled educational breakout sessions with leading executives from Yelp, Lendio, Neighborly, and more. Network with small business resources like America's Small Business Development Centers, SCORE, and the National Women's Business Council, as well as with other owners just like you. So grab a cup of coffee and join us for this virtual online event November 10th and 11th. This is the small business conference you won't want to miss. Register now at thryv.com/connect. That's THRYV.com/connect. Come to connect. Leave inspired.
We're back with Mark Galvin speaking about ePresence and in particular the things you should and shouldn't do on LinkedIn. So Mark, you were going through some of those very detailed recommendations on what you should and shouldn't do on LinkedIn. And thought pops into my mind, how did this all get so complicated? And can people do this well on their own, or do they really need to find an expert like you to help them if they're serious about building their e-presence, especially their LinkedIn presence?
Now, Gordon, you do know that's like a softball. They need to call me. So let's talk, right? So the truth is that everybody can do this. I recommend carving out 15 minutes on Tuesdays and Thursday mornings to jump onto LinkedIn and to post something or like something. If you take just those 15 minutes, Tuesday mornings and Thursday mornings, you're going to find that you'll reach a lot more people. What do you do would be the question. Great, Mark. I'll pop on there. I'll spend my 15 minutes, but what am I going to say? I encourage, if this is an important thing and your target audience is there and this is a great way for you to reach them, this is what I encourage. Number one, put a pad by your laptop or on your desktop, maybe, and I do Post-it notes. So a little Post-it note as you go through the week. When Gordon calls me and says, hey, Mark, I wonder what should I focus on my LinkedIn profile? And I'm going to say, hey, here's the 5 things you should focus on. I'm going to go to my little sticky note. I'm going to write 5 things to focus on. And I do this for a week. Then Tuesday morning, I pop in, I look at my little Post-it note, and I see the 10 questions that I got on what I do. So the roofer is a good example. I bet roofers get called all the time about, how do I know if I have roof damage? So that's probably, that's always going to be on their tab, on their sticky note. They can answer that question on Tuesday morning. Had a question this week about how do you know whether you should have your roof inspected? I encourage you do this, this, and this. Do 3 points. I would never worry about giving too much information, because the truth is, and Gordon, this is the great thing about your question. There are people who will do it themselves, and I don't care whether I answer the question on how they can do it themselves or I don't, they're still not going to come to me. The people that will come to me are the ones that'll say, I see the value in this and I ain't ever going to do it. And that's an important piece. I see the value, but I'm never going to do that. Those are the people that should call me. Those that say, I can do this myself, here's how you do it. You go on Tuesday mornings, you come up with your list, maybe you curate. Curate is, I look for something out on the web. This is an article that will support what I'm talking about. I'm going to post that post, that link, and I'll push that out there. Why Tuesdays and Thursdays? I have not seen the data change. It may have with the coronavirus, but what used to happen is Tuesday mornings is when LinkedIn blows up. Between around 7 a.m. your local time and 8:30, LinkedIn is as busy as it is any other time. And I think it has a little psychology of, okay, Monday, you get into work, you're playing catch up, you're planning, blah, blah, blah. Tuesday morning, you land at your desk, you're like, oh, cup of coffee. I think I'll check LinkedIn out. That's why you should post on Tuesday mornings. Thursdays, because Thursday works a lot better than Friday, and Wednesday's a little too close.
Right.
Friday morning, I know when I get to the office, I'm just trying to figure out how I get through that day so I can get to the weekend. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, 15 minutes, first thing in the morning, cup of coffee. You do those things, you're going to see that you'll show up in a lot more search results. So can you do it yourself? Yes. There's a lot more information on how you do it. And I would say, do you mind if I plug my webinar?
No, go for it.
If you go to e-pr.me/webinar, you can sign up for one of my webinars. I do 2 webinars. I have a 1.0 and a 2.0. 1.0 shows, we share how you can clean up your profile. I give the 5 tips, and I bring up profiles right there in the session. So Gordon, if you say if you came and joined me, I put your profile on the screen and I tap there. I have no more than 10 participants. I go through everybody's profile with them. So if we talk about profile photos, and we go through everybody's profile photo, then we talk about headlines, we go through everybody. So everybody gets a little attention. And then the other one is the 2.0. And in 2.0, we talk about posting. We talk about how do you build an audience? How do you determine whether you should connect to somebody or not? All of these pieces are the perfect things for do-it-yourselfers. And those folks, if you want to do it yourself, come see us. It's $37.50. So we don't charge a lot. And I guarantee it. So if someone comes and they say, this was the worst thing I've ever done, I can't believe I wasted my time, I give them their money back and I pay them $20 because I've taken their time from them. Okay. I am so confident. I've never had anybody do that, by the way. Everybody comes, they say, this has been unbelievably valuable. So we started doing this during the coronavirus when everybody started going home and everybody started losing their jobs. And it's been such a hit. We continue to do that. So check that website out. Oh, or you just go right onto my Thryv hosted website, epresence.me. So it's epresence.me because it's all about you. Yeah. And you can find our webinars there. But you can absolutely do it yourself. If you are inclined, you can. If you don't want to do it, find somebody to do it for you. It is so important that you have an active profile, because you'll take the search results for you will explode. You'll see so many more people landing on your profile if you just get active. Right. And it's not hard, but if you can't do it, totally get it. Get somebody to help you.
Right. Yeah, we do a lot of posting for people, for small businesses on Facebook. And exactly what you said, where, yes, they could do it themselves. But when we show them the package and they know that we're going to be posting for them 12 times a month, and they say, you're going to do that for me as part of this package, it's like a weight gets lifted off their shoulders because it's such a big burden having to do it yourself.
Yeah, we encourage folks to do this all the time, because if you can, not only you're relieving the burden, but you're also the expert. And hiring you to be the expert to take care of that for them all of a sudden raises the ability, the potency of those posts, because you know how to post. Yeah, it's like hiring a social media manager without having to worry about the payroll tax and the management fees and all that. Yeah, I always encourage that.
Yeah, yeah. Mark, before we're just gonna have a little time left, I do want to ask you, speaking beyond just the LinkedIn and Facebook, but more generally about online promoting your business or promoting your own persona, what are some of the big mistakes people make? I've seen you talk online about some of the things people do that are mistakes, like not knowing your audience, not using a landing page, not optimizing your content. Can you sort of rattle off, or maybe just talk a little bit about what should be some of the things people are thinking about in terms of the mistakes that small businesses make, in building their e-presence?
There are, and I would tell you, there's so many things that are easy, common mistakes to make. And so what really first thing that comes to mind is pay attention to your website. That's the first spot you should really pay attention to. It is still very important. And I see a lot of organizations that go onto their website and they make a change and then they don't inform the other areas that are referring back to the website. It is so important that if you, here's an example, if you change your LinkedIn page for your company page, make sure it's true on your website. People, when they land on your website, if they see something that's wrong, they think that you're either out of business or that you're incompetent, and you just don't want that to happen. How do you avoid this? The way that I encourage folks to do this is have an auditor go through the website once a quarter. We have somebody on staff who, she is incredibly good at looking for things that are wrong. In fact, it drives me crazy. I hate giving her something to read that I wrote because she's going to rip it apart. That's the person you want reading your website. Once a quarter, have that person go through the website and just check it to make sure everything's clicking, everything works, that the links to the social media sites work, that the emails are right, that person that left the organization 6 months ago is no longer on the About Us page, right? Though that is an extremely easy thing to forget. And it's a basic. And everybody out there that's listening to this, like, oh yeah, that's another,
right.
I call that a turd for your pocket. Yes, it's a turd for your pocket. It's one of those things you got to do. Pull that up and put that on the higher list of your priorities. The other thing that I can't encourage enough is put some money behind your ad dollars. Put some dollars into your digital marketing. I was just talking to a general manager of a destination in North Georgia this morning, as a matter of fact. And he said, digital marketing is not his forte. Thank God he doesn't have to do it, as he said. But he said it's so important to use it because you can reach your target audience so specifically.
Yep.
It's okay if you don't understand it. Get somebody to help you do that and hold them accountable. Get the analytics. Tell them, if you don't provide at least $4 for every dollar I spend within 90 days and $10 within the first year, then I'm going to drop you. I'm going to tell you what, every SEO person ought to be producing for you at least $10 for every dollar you spend on that SEO. That is so, so important. And if it's done right, landing pages and all of the marketing pieces are so important. It does work. It's freaking amazing how effective digital marketing can be. And small organizations can just blow up if they leverage it correctly.
Yeah, great advice. So we're running short on time, but I do want to ask you a couple of closing.
I'm a bit of a talker. I'm sorry for that.
No. This is incredible, and I'm sure people are going to be excited to tune into your session at Thryv Connect.
Oh, rock on!
You have such valuable information. But one of the questions I wanted to ask you was, speaking more broadly, not just about LinkedIn and Facebook, but what is your favorite business tool that you're using now? Is there some technology or app or tool that you're using now that you find very useful in this space?
Yeah, well, in just working in general, I am the only one in my office in Atlanta. We have 8 team members, and they are between Colorado, Virginia, and suburbs of Atlanta. We don't all get down and meet. one of the ways that we started communicating with each other was typically through email and through Slack. I love Slack.
Slack.
It's just terrific. However, we have a subscription to Office 365, and I would encourage folks out there, if you're using Google Forms, and if you ever get tired of something like that, if it doesn't seem like it's robust enough for you, or you're using Gmail, I encourage Office 365. So we have a subscription. What I love about it is it gives me access to so many things, including the thing that I love the most is Teams. Teams has the ability, everything that Slack does, and I'm able to share documents because I'm within that ecosystem of Office 365. We share documents faster, and we have video calls off the cuff. It has been, honestly, it's a godsend. It's one of the things that I don't know that I could live without.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. You know, one that I came across recently that I'll mention is Vidyard. I don't know if you know Vidyard, but it's really a tool that you can use instead of calling someone and leaving a voicemail. You create a video, a little selfie video, and you can put it in your email and send it to them as a little video. And, you know, you might say, well, I could do that with an iPhone, but this is really set up as a tool made for that. And as opposed to leaving somebody a voicemail, which is faceless and you don't know who I am and all that, imagine being able to quickly cut a very professional looking video and pop it into an email. We find
That's
that it's,
cool.
you know, it's great as a recipient to say, oh, well, now I know Mark Galvin. I see him. I get a feel for who you are, instead of just hearing a voice on a phone, which just sounds like another telemarketer.
So would I find that going just Vidyard?
Yeah, Vidyard. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I will check that out. I think that's huge. You can do this through LinkedIn messaging. There's a button on your mobile device. Hit the little plus sign, and you can send a video message.
Yeah.
I encourage all of you to do that. Instead of sending somebody a message for happy birthday, do a video message and say, Gordon, happy birthday. I hope you're having a great one. It really will blow you, the recipient, away when you get those. And Vidyard, I'm sure it's the same thing. That's cool.
Yeah. So another closing question here. You know, you've been doing this a long time. This business gets so much more complicated every year. If you look back to when you were 20, 25 years old, what do you wish you knew then that you know now? What advice might you give yourself? You know, I don't know how old you are, but 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah. The thing that I wish I knew back when I was in that age is that I didn't communicate enough. I sat in meetings. I had ideas. I was afraid that somebody would shoot me down. So I was afraid there was risk, actually. I think that's what I detected, is I felt like it was risky if I shared an idea. Here's what I've learned over the years. The people that share their ideas get those ideas implemented. You've got to be courageous enough early in your career to share the things that are on your mind. And I'm going to tell you something else. A lot of times you're sitting in those meetings and you don't think of the ideas while you're in the meeting. And, Gordon's sitting across the table. He's always coming up with ideas. And I'm jealous of him. I bet Gordon's not coming up with those ideas across the table. Gordon's doing what everybody else is doing. He's sitting at home at night. He says, you know what? We could do that better if we did that. And he writes it down, and he gets to that meeting and he's got little notes, and he's saying, gosh, here are some ideas that I would have that I'd like to suggest. Or if the opportunity doesn't come up to suggest what you thought about, write it down and say, hey, boss man, boss woman, I got an idea. I thought about this last night. What do you think about that? And I really wish, I'm a communicator. I didn't realize I was a communicator when I was in my 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
And if I had shared some of the things that were on my mind back then, I would be a lot further down the road than I am. Not that I'm not far down the road, but I think I could have gotten there faster.
Right.
And earned more respect faster.
Right. Great advice. And last question. You have an organization. You're part of an organization. When you think about hiring, you do think about hiring a lot because you're working in LinkedIn a lot.
Right.
Do you have any tips for people on hiring as they're going out? I mean, now it's an interesting time. You mentioned there are, unfortunately, people out of work due to COVID.
Right.
If you're looking for people to hire, what should you be looking for? What is your hiring tip, either to yourself or to the people you work with?
There are two things I'd like to mention here. Number one is make sure you're hiring a diversity of people,
Sure.
not just culturally, not just in their sex or orientation. You need a diverse group of people, and for all the obvious reasons, and that's where we are today, because you need those opinions. But I would encourage folks to ask the question that I love to ask, and I've done this for years, and it's ask this one question: have the applicant tell you what made their most favorite boss great, and what made their the boss they hated bad. Describe those qualities. And I don't, and what I say is, I don't care who they are, just think of a person. They got to think of a person. Think of a person and tell me what made the great boss great and the bad boss bad. And they'll describe things like, well, I worked for this woman, and her name was Alice, and she gave me power. She gave me powerful advice. She supported me, and she seemed to really focus on my interest. And the bad boss, Bob, was he was a micromanager, and he never knew what he was talking about, but he would never admit it. Right? And what you do is you write down those qualities. What they're telling you is they're giving you their experiential baggage. Yeah. And that experiential baggage is what they want to be. It's where they want to go. So you can find out, I could sit down with you, Gordon, and interview you and say, Gordon, what characteristics are you planning on bringing to the job? And you're going to tell me what you think I want to hear. Yeah. But when I ask you this, you're going to tell me, these are the things that I aspire to be without knowing it. Yeah. So you can find out where they're going, and that helps inform you whether they're going to complement your organization away or fill a niche that's not currently filled.
Yeah, that's great. That is excellent advice. And I know exactly what you're talking about, because sometimes you have to ask people not in a direct way, but in a somewhat indirect way, in order to open them up and get them to talk about what you really want to hear from them.
It scares them when you ask them to criticize a past boss. I always get that. I'm not supposed to criticize my past boss. This is the one time I'm going to give you the okay. Criticize away. This is good. Yeah. You're in a safe spot. Yeah. And I always tell them at the end, this is why I ask you this question. Does that sound correct? And typically I get or yeah, that is kind of me. And it's a little bit of a trick, but it works. Yeah. Well, Mark, this has been a great opportunity for us to interview you, and I'm so looking forward to hearing you speak at Thryv Connect 20, which is coming up in just a little over a month. Yeah. So thanks for your time. You bet. I'm glad to be here. We have been speaking with Mark Galvin, who is the CEO of ePresence, a firm based in the Atlanta area that helps individuals as well as companies with their online profiles, their online presence, digital marketing. Really great resource for everything in terms of building your internet growth. And this has been Gordon Henry. We're Winning on Main Street. And each week we try to speak with an entrepreneur who can help you learn more about how small businesses can grow and get better with their marketing and business operations. And as I mentioned, if you like this show, please subscribe or ask a friend to subscribe. And don't forget to register for Thryv Connect 20. It's our virtual conference coming up. That's Thryv Connect 20, thryv.com/connect. And that's November 10th and 11th. And you can register online right now. Thanks. We'll see you next week. Gordon Henry, Winning on Main Street.